Hello everybody, Scotia here, and greetings from Birmingham, where I spent the last 2 days at VSFightingX playing Street Fighter 6, and I can safely say that the game is really good. I'm currently recording this on the night of the Sunday. I got here yesterday on Saturday at about midday, about 2 o'clock, and I pretty much went straight to playing Street Fighter 6. Playing Street Fighter 6 was the sole reason that I even came to Birmingham and VSFightingX, and I think it was worth it. I think the game is very good. I really enjoyed the matches I played. I can't remember, I kind of lost count eventually, but I think I played about maybe 20 matches, across the 2 days. The way the demo worked is you basically got like 3 matches, and then after the third match, the screen would come up and it would say thanks for playing. And basically what you would do then is you'd stand up, you'd move to the back, or you'd go somewhere else, and the people who were behind you would then go up. So you basically had like unlimited goes. There was no restrictions on that, which I was unsure if there would be, but I know like you could really, like, people were coming and going. I saw a lot of people, met a lot of great people as well. Even had a few conversations with Matt Edwards from Capcom UK, which were great. He's a great guy. I highly recommend if you ever see him at an event or something, by all means, have a chat with him. He's a very, very nice guy. I had a lovely conversation with him on both days. But yeah, I kind of want to keep this brief. I don't want to go waffling on about, all sorts. But yeah, I really enjoyed the game. And the thing is, it's like, is this going to be my favourite Street Fighter game? Probably not, because I think I just have too much of a connection to Street Fighter 3 and Third Strike in particular. And just, the sights and the sounds and the rosters and everything about those games just really speaks to me. And I just have such a connection with them. But I think this will pretty easily end up being the best modern 3D Street Fighter. I think the only real contender it has is probably 4. I think it's head and shoulders above 5, to be honest. And I don't hate 5, don't get me wrong. I really have come to like that game and appreciate it for what it is. But I just think out the gate, I feel like Street Fighter 6, I think it just knows what it wants to be. I think more than Street Fighter 5, ever really did. And the thing that kind of makes me feel that the most is just the way that this demo, because it's the same demo that's been demoed at every other location, the same one that was at Summer Games Fest and Evo, and the same one that will be taken to Gamescom next week, and I think some event in Paris the week after. But this is a demo that Capcom have been using a lot, and having played it now finally, I see why, because it's very solid. And the fact it's so solid so soon, like, it's still an early build. Like, obviously it's, there's no like clearly unfinished areas, but like there's still little things here and there that like are very clear that like this is not a very super polished version. Like, this is not going to be even close to how the game is going to be when it comes out next year. Like, for example, during a few of my matches, I noticed that the car in the background of the Metro City stage, the one that Damned will sometimes jump on, a few times throughout the weekend, sometimes the textures on that car, all the graffiti, just wouldn't load right, and it would be a blurry mess, and it looked awful. And I would notice it, and I'd be like, oh, that's weird. But the next round would load in, and it would be fixed. And it's just little things like that, where you're like, the game is great, and it looks great, and it plays great. But every now and then, you just see these little things here and there that kind of make you go, oh yeah, this is an early build. But the fact it's so good so early, it really just fills me with such confidence that like, this is going to be a good game. Like, I'm very, very confident. Probably more confident than I ever was with Street Fighter 5. And I played the betas for Street Fighter 5, and I enjoyed the game back then. And I was excited for it. But, like, I just feel like this demo, and the fact they keep using it so much, and the fact that it's so good, I think really just gives me this feeling that Capcom have such confidence in their product, which goes a long way as a player, because you feel the confidence in the product and you see why. Like, when you think about it, you're like, okay, I get why they keep using this demo, because it's that good that they don't need to make a new version. Sure, they could, and I'm sure they will. I mean, I heard a conversation that Matt Edwards had with somebody while I was queuing up to play the game, where he did say that at some point in the future they're going to do a new expanded build, his words, which I assume just means an updated version that they'll probably take to shows and stuff where it'll have more characters. So, I mean, I think that was obvious. I think a lot of people assumed that was probably going to happen later down the line, but like, yeah, like, there's no real reason for them just yet. Like, sure, they could add more characters, but honestly, I think the characters they have in this beta are fine. I think they work very well. I mean, you have Ryu, Jamie, Luke, and Chun-Li, and I think, I'm not going to talk about balance and stuff like that in neutral. You know me, you know this channel by now. If you're new, I'm not a very kind of like gameplay focused person. I'm more into the characters and the story, but I will be talking about some aspects of the gameplay that I just had like opinions on, because like that was kind of the main thing with the demo. All I could really do was play the game, but I'm not gonna go into any detail about neutral or stuff like that. But honestly, like, no character felt like significantly bad. Like, there was no real glaring balance issues. Like, I saw people play all characters fairly evenly. I think Ryu and Jamie were probably the two most played, then Chun, then Luke. But like, I saw people win with every character, people lost with every character. It was very much, like I said, it was fairly balanced. I feel like no character was super strong and no character was super weak, which was good. Personally speaking, I feel like probably the worst, and I'm using like finger quotation marks with that, because again, I don't think any character was bad. But the character I probably either enjoyed the least or just didn't have the strongest kind of like feelings about, like I did the others, was probably Luke. I like how Luke plays in 5, but I don't know why. Something about him in 6 just didn't really grab me. I much preferred Ryu, obviously. He was the one I was the most focused on going in, because the Shoto playstyle is just the one I'm the most familiar with. I did play Chun. I'm an awful Chun-Li player. Never been strong with her in any game. So I did my best. She was probably the one I played as the least, because every time I would hop on with her, I would just get destroyed by people. I remember there was one person I played against, a guy called Mark, and he destroyed me as Chun-Li, and I was like, damn. And then I remember afterwards we were talking, and I was like, oh, you're really good with Chun. And he's like, oh yeah, I was just competing in Street Fighter 5 as Chun-Li. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense now why I got bodied. But yeah, like Chun-Li, there's this weird thing with Chun-Li where it's like, I was awful with her and I never won a match with her, but I could see the potential. I could see that, like, if I was like good at Chun-Li, she's a really good character, but because I was so bad with her, that like I didn't really personally like get her full potential out while playing. But like, I can see it. I can see why she's a really good character. I can see why she's really strong. Ryu was also very good. I was actually, before I came to Birmingham on the Friday night before I went, I was just kind of playing some of the other like Street Fighter games just a bit. Like I was playing as Ryu for like half an arcade ladder each in each game. So I started with 2 and then went to Alpha, then went to 3 and then 4, then 5. And yeah, I really felt like Ryu in 6 is a lot more fun, just has a lot more to him than 5. I think Ryu in 5 is fine, but yeah, like, I definitely prefer the 6 version of 5. Same with Chun-Li, to be honest. I feel like Chun, like, even though I was awful with her, I enjoyed the bit I played of Chun more than I think I've ever felt with Chun in 5, the times I played as Chun in 5. So that's very good. So I think already off the bat, the 2 returning characters, well, technically 3 with Luke, but the 2 main returning characters from other games, I definitely think these versions of them in 6 are definitely better than the last versions they had in 5. The standout for me, honestly, was Jamie. I was really impressed with him, and I think more than anything, I just wanted so desperately to just get a moment where I could just be by myself and just try him out without kind of like having to fight. Unfortunately, I didn't get that chance, which is fair. I mean, there was constantly people there, because I think on the Saturday was the busiest day. There was less people on the Sunday, though it did get busy towards the end. But yeah, I really just wanted to try out Jamie, but I had a few matches with him, and like, he's really, really fun. And I really just want to try him out more and see what, is kind of like, just basically just kind of like get more time on him, see what he's about, in more detail. But when you get Jamie to like drink level 3 or 4, I would say 3's good. 4, like Jamie drink level 4 is insane. He's so just crazy when he gets to that level, and he's so fun. Like, I really just enjoyed playing. I mean, even watching other people get to Jamie drink level 4 and then just watching them, just the shit he would do was so great. Normal Jamie and then like drink level 1 and 2 is fine, and he's still good, but nothing compares to Jamie drink level 4. I thought what was good as well, because at first I was a bit like, I kind of felt like it was a bit unfair almost, because you had to like, you have to press down, light punch. And if you just do that input once, so just do down, light punch and then leave it, he just takes 1 drink and then that raises him 1 level. But if you hold it, you hold the square, he will just keep drinking until you let go, or he gets hit by an attack by the opponent. And like, that's fine, but like, it just leaves yourself really open, which I thought was a bit unfair. And I was like, oh, but I later discovered, once I actually kind of like got a moment to just look at his moveset for a bit before I started the match against somebody, I was like, oh, he actually has a move. He has a super art where he like will just down the entire drink and go straight to level 4, which obviously costs some meter, but like to just get immediately to level 4 like is really good, and I think that'll be a very strong move because like yeah, like I don't want to say they're two completely different characters because they're not, because you do the same moves that Jamie can do at normal drink level and like drink level 1 and 2, but it's just so much better. So just being able to get all that stuff was really, really great. But yeah, by far and away, Jamie was the most impressive character to me. Like like I said, I really, really want to get just some time where I can just explore him further. If I had to rank the characters in terms of just how much I enjoyed them and how good I thought they were to play as, number 1, definitely Jamie, like drink level 3 and above. So like Jamie drink level 3 and 4, absolutely the best character in that beta. I had so much fun with him when I would get him to that point. Then I'd probably go Ryu. Like I said, I thought Ryu was very strong. Definitely a lot better than his Street Fighter 5 version. I just had more fun with him, you know. It was good. He has some good moves. After that, I'd probably go normal Jamie. So basically normal Jamie, then Jamie drink level 1 and 2. Like I said, nothing wrong with that version. He's still fun, but he just can't compare to drink level 4 Jamie. After that, I'd go Chun-Li. But a Chun-Li, if I could actually play Chun-Li, like I said, like if I could play Chun-Li, then she would definitely be there because she was really strong, and I was seeing people who can play Chun-Li like doing things that like were crazy. There is a clip that you'll hopefully see in this video, but if I don't have time for it, it'll definitely be in the next video I put out, where I'll just be posting all the videos I took of people's matches while I was there at Versus Fighting. But there was one match I did where I recorded somebody playing against Matt Edwards, and he was playing Chun-Li, Matt Edwards, and he did this sick air combo where he did like a super with Chun-Li that knocked the opponent into the air, then he jumped up, did another combo, and then comboed that into an air super. It just was so cool. I put it on Twitter, and it's been getting some good interactions, but like, it was just so cool. And like I think that's the thing with Chun-Li, where it's like I can't play her, but I know people will do crazy stuff with her, and I think that's very exciting. After that, probably Luke. Like I said, I didn't hate Luke, but he was probably out of the characters I played. I didn't hate him. There's nothing specifically bad about him, but just the character I just gelled with the least. Like I said, I don't know, it's hard to describe. Like I could do stuff with him, and he was fun, and I enjoyed it. But I just, compared to the other characters, I just, you know, just wasn't as much there, I guess. And then below Luke, I would go me playing Chun-Li, because I just couldn't play her. And in my hands, she was practically worthless. But that's how I would probably rank the characters, to be honest. But like I said, I think all of them were good. I think all of them were strong. I think all of them were fun. I think for 4 characters to pick for a demo or a beta, I think they're the perfect characters, to be honest. I'll kind of go over some other stuff a bit quicker because, you know, I didn't want this to be too long. But the drive system, I'm still a bit kind of like, I will definitely need more time to just experiment with the drive system, you know, in a situation where like I'm not constantly having to kind of like fight for my life in a way, like in the middle of a match. But so far, my impressions on the drive system, it's pretty good. Like, obviously, it's very heavily dependent, and it's something that is constantly at play. But I never felt like it was too distracting or too demanding. Like, I never felt like I was never in any match constantly looking up at the drive gauge. Like, it was never a thing for me where it was like, I never had to like, oh, okay, like I'm at this level of drive gauge, I need to keep an eye. It was never something I felt like I had to constantly keep an eye on, which I appreciated, but it was always something that I knew was a factor because there's so many of the moves are tied to the drive gauge, like the drive impact, which I think is basically just focus attack from Street Fighter 4. That was really good. That was good because if you did it right, you got a big bonus when, you know, the screen crashes and it goes like it zooms in, all the color splashes everywhere. Like, that's the drive impact you want. But even if you do it and you do it, I don't know if wrong's the right word, but if you do it and it doesn't connect like properly or fully, you still get something out of it. Like, the character can get knocked back, like the opponent can maybe bounce off the wall if you're in the corner. So I think that was something that was good, and like that was a fun move to do, and I felt like it was something to do kind of like if you're kind of like panicking, I guess, and you're like, oh, I don't really know what to do, like I'm kind of getting pressured on, and I have a moment, okay, I'll do drive impact, cool, it's bounced the opponent back, I can kind of step back and kind of breathe for a second and think about now what I want to do. So that was good, and that was how I kind of used it the most, was kind of like, right, I'm getting pressured on, boom, drive impact, it didn't hit fully, but they're a bit further away from me now than they were before. So I can just kind of regroup and kind of like focus on what I want to do. So I thought that was really cool. Apart from that, the main other thing from the drive system you're going to be using is the drive parry, and that was honestly probably what I was the most interested in trying out, because as a big Street Fighter 3 and Third Strike fan and player, I was just curious how they were going to kind of do a universal parry again. And honestly, the way I kind of feel about the parries in Street Fighter 6 is that it kind of feels like a more balanced version of Street Fighter 3's. And by that, I mean that it's basically not a get out of jail free card. Like, you can do it, but unless you do a perfect version, which I only really did like maybe 2 or 3 times, so it's not something kind of like that's gonna happen for everybody. Like, if you want a perfect parry, you're gonna have to work for it. Basically, you're gonna have to really nail the timings and understand that aspect to it. But if you just do a regular parry, and it's something that like you can hold the parry button down, and it's like you can do that, and like whatever you get hit with, you'll just parry, but you won't be able to kind of like, you might get the opportunity to get a counter and maybe kind of get the upper hand, but for the most part, the way I kind of felt like it was, and the way I described it to other people, was that it kind of just felt like blocking, but it was blocking that gave you drive meter. And in that sense, like I said, it just felt more balanced. Like, it didn't feel as strong as, you know, Street Fighter 3's like regular parries, but like it felt like something that was still kind of like usable. Like, I parried, yeah, I was blocking, and I basically just got drive meter for it. Whereas with the perfect parry, like that was basically what Third Strike's version was, but it's just more like precise. And I think that's a good way of doing it, because the thing with Third Strike's parry is, like, I'm not an amazing Third Strike player. Like, I'm okay. Like, I've played the game enough where, like, I can kind of handle myself. I was playing some Third Strike matches on an arcade cabinet that was at the VSFighting event, which is really cool. And I'm not a stick player, so I wasn't doing too well, because I'm more used to pad. Like, I was getting some parries just, like, naturally while playing. So, like, I would say it's fairly easy to get a parry even by accident in Street Fighter 3, but getting the perfect parry, like I said, is something you need like precise timing to do, and I just think it works better that way. Like, I feel like parrying is, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe. Like, I did like it. It doesn't have the satisfaction that like Street Fighter 3 parry will give you, obviously, because like I said, Street Fighter 3 parries are easy to pull off, but you get more of a reward for it. Whereas now it's like you can do a parry like at any point in a match, and like the reward isn't great, but you still get something out of it, and it's still fun to do. But when you get that perfect parry, like, oh, and the game will let you know when you got a perfect parry. It's obviously, it's not something that is like, it's not like a red parry in Third Strike, where this, you know, the character glows red for like 3/4 of a second. Like, you will know when you get a perfect parry, and in that sense, I do really like that. But yeah, that's kind of it, to be honest. Like, I probably would have gone in more detail about it, but like I said, I only recorded a certain amount of footage, so I may have to resort to using some footage from other stuff, like from like other sources like that we've seen gameplay of already. But yeah, oh, there is one thing I did want to add. So one thing I was quite looking forward to when I was playing the game was to just see how certain things worked. And one thing I was really looking forward to seeing was the game face feature, which is the thing they've been putting out, where, you know, like after the characters do the walkout, which is really cool, by the way. Unfortunately, there was no sound at the demo this weekend. I was talking to Matt Edwards about it, and he basically told me that the Versus Fighting demo for this event for this weekend was essentially done with a tight budget. It was very much not intended. The plan, I think, was that Capcom were going to just take the demo straight to Gamescom next week, but because Versus Fighting, from what I've heard, is the first Versus Fighting they've done in a public event with everybody there for, I think since before the pandemic. You know, I think Matt Edwards and people at Capcom UK were like, no, this is a big deal, we want to kind of like, you know, get it out there and let the UK scene get on it, which is great, and I really can't thank Matt and Capcom UK. But yeah, so the game face feature, I was just interested to see how it worked, because obviously they said you would have to use the D-pad, which you have to do, but what I kind of didn't expect, I thought you could just tap it and they would do the face, and they would hold the face in that position if you just tapped it until you tapped like a different direction. But no, like, you actually have to hold it, you have to hold the button. So like, yeah, so if you like hold left, Ryu will do the scowl, but if you let go, he will go back to his neutral face. And this might seem like anecdotal, but what I ended up doing that entire weekend once I discovered this was you can literally spam between all 4 of faces for every character, like within set. So they'll do like the first few frames of the face, so you can just spam like Jamie doing his shocked face, like, and like Chun-Li's pout, like you can just spam that. It's really funny. Like it's a lot funnier than it sounds. I was really enjoying it, and obviously I was making the people I was playing against laugh whenever I would do it. But I don't know if they'll change that. I hope they don't, because I just genuinely thought it was funny. The only other thing I want to add as well before I start wrapping this up is one thing that really blew me away. And I think I don't know if I've talked about this before, but this is something I've talked about with other people I know, is when you rematch, like once the game is finished and you go to the characters doing their win pose and the menu options come up, if you both click request rematch, the time it takes to get back into the match is so quick. Like, it honestly blew my mind. Like, it is literally instantaneous. Like, it's that thing where it's like, okay, you won, the character's doing their pose, the options come up, you click, okay, you're back in the match. Like, it is that quick. It is less than a second. And that's something that I think, of all the features I saw in the game, of everything that was there, the thing that I think will really make this game kind of like something that kind of like stands out about it, the thing that will, I think, make the most difference in the long run, will be the time it will take to do a rematch. I expect if you're playing online, it'll be a bit longer, but even if it's a second, even if it's 2 seconds, the speed of that rematch option and how quick it was just like, that will be a game changer. Like, mark my words, like, that will be one of the biggest features that this game has. So yeah, to wrap it up, the game is great. I'm very excited for it. Like I said, will it be my favorite Street Fighter? No, because I think I'm just too much of a Street Fighter 3 Third Strike fanboy, unfortunately, to really allow it to have that chance. I can definitely see it being a top 3 game, though. I think it will easily end up being the best of the modern Street Fighter output, the best 3D game. Like I said, I think 4 is only its real challenge. I think this game, I don't think it's going to make 5 obsolete, and I don't think it's gonna like make 5 irrelevant, but I definitely just feel like, not just from the players, but from, like, you know, the hardcore people, the people in the FGC, you know, who go to these events, who play online, I just think in terms of even like casual people, I feel like Street Fighter 5 will be that thing where it's like, oh yeah, Street Fighter 5, like, thank God that like Capcom learned their lesson and made this game. Because I even like, the thing that kind of makes me kind of just get giddy about it is that, like, as good as playing the game was, and as exciting as it is seeing these characters, and the thing about it is, right, the game isn't visually mind-blowing. Maybe it was the setup, maybe it was the early build, I'm sure it will look better in time, but like, I was more honestly blown away by the use of colors and the vibrancy of the game than the actual like graphics. Like, the graphics are good, don't get me wrong, it looks great, but like, when I think of other RE Engine games, like, I think the Resident Evil games, like Resident Evil 2 Remake and 3 Remake and Village, I think they look better. But I think this game still looks great. But yeah, I think the art style and the use of colors impressed me more. But like, even with all that and the gameplay and how solid it is already, like, so early in development, so to speak. Well, not early in development, but like so early in the game's like marketing cycle. Like, the fact that like we've got World Tour mode and Battle Hub on top, like, oh man, like, I think as a package, I think this will easily be the best Street Fighter game. So I think, you know, World Tour mode, the gameplay being solid, whatever Battle Hub is, and, you know, a very sizable base roster, like, this will absolutely, I think, be the game that puts Street Fighter kind of like back on the map that it kind of lost its footing on with 5. You know, as good as 5 ended up being, and as good, you know, as 5 was at times, like, it definitely was the game that kind of like made Street Fighter tumble. But in a way, I'm glad it tumbled, because now we've got this game that's just firing on all cylinders. But yeah, I'm very happy I got to play the game. I hope everybody out there gets to play it eventually, whether they go to an event or we get a beta at some point. Honestly, I was talking to somebody else that was there as well, and we were both saying, like, this version of the game, the build they've got, like, they could 100% put this out as a demo, and I think people would be all over it. And I don't think it's not, you know, it's an early build, like I said, but it's not in a state where it's embarrassing or anything, or it's like, oh, you know, this is a closed doors kind of like, if you want to play this early version that's unfinished and messy, you gotta, no, like they could put this out, and I think people would like be into the game even more. Like, I think it would sell even more people on it. Like, this build is in a state where it's that solid, where it's like, yeah, absolutely put it out. Like, they could put it out for everybody. I don't think they will. I think they'd rather put out a better version that has, you know, is further along than even this version is. But yeah, really want to give a shout out to VSFightingX. This is technically my first fighting game tournament, this one that I went to this weekend. I did go to, I guess you could say, I went to one a few years ago, where I think they had like the EU finals for like the CPT in like 2017 or something. But that was kind of like in the back of a corner at like EGX Birmingham at the NEC a few years ago. But like, this is my first real like one where like the whole venue is dedicated to it. I had such a good time, so many fun things to do, so many things that like were just really crazy to see and do. Like playing on a Versus City Sega arcade system, playing Third Strike, where it's like I've got a big screen that I can sit on where I'm playing the game, and there's somebody on the other side of it that I can't see that is also playing the game, and there's no lag, the game was running great. Just stuff like that was really fun. A nerdy thing for me was there was another Third Strike setup where they were just using like just literal CPS3 engine systems, like just the motherboard and everything, and the like cartridges. Like just seeing a CPS3 system was just like, oh, like, because I've always wanted one, even though I probably wouldn't know how to even like run it or anything like that. But just seeing that, I took so many photos of it because I was just so fascinated by it. But you know, outside of that, so many people I met that were just so friendly, like people that like obviously I've never met in my life, and I probably will never meet again unless I go back to another Versus Fighting in the future, which I absolutely will do at some point. I don't know when, but I will absolutely go back. I had such a good time. But yeah, like shout out to them and the people that organised it. They did a great job. So yeah, shout out to the staff and the people for just being really friendly. I didn't have any troubles with anybody, like nobody caused a scene or anything. Not that I was expecting anything like that. Everybody was just friendly, you know. I know I said that like 8 times, but like it was just great just to kind of walk in there, like as somebody who had never been to like a proper fighting game event. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. Special shout out as well to Matt Edwards. I know I've mentioned him a lot in this video. He was awesome. I had such a fun couple of conversations with him throughout the 2 days. He's an awesome guy. I really am thankful for, you know, the time he gave me, some random guy who just came up to him and started asking questions. Just great, yeah. Everybody involved this weekend did a great job of whatever it is that they were doing. I couldn't have had a better time, honestly. So yeah, I'm going to leave things here. So thanks again for watching if you watched all the way through. I don't know when this video is going to be uploaded. Obviously you'll know because you'll be watching it after this video's up. It might be up by the time you watch this, I don't know. When this video's up, I'm going to just do a video full of like the raw footage I captured of all the people's matches that I was filming while I was there the last 2 days. So keep an eye out for that. There was some good stuff there. So thanks for watching if you did. I will see you later. Goodbye.
We await your return, warrior.